In this video, I'm going to react to summer objects that you only find in America. Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Kabir Considers. This is the place where I react to music, media, sports, anime, anything related to popular culture. I'll watch it with an open mind and give you my 100% honest reaction to it. And if you could please hit that like button early, I'd really appreciate it. Now, once again, I find myself reacting to a video from Lost in the Pond. It's a great channel for offering the perspective of a Brit in America, you know, comparing the two countries and cultures and ways of life. Fairly recently, I reacted to winter objects that you only find in America. And it was a really interesting list. You know, I think one of them was like a sort of balaclava, like a face shield, you know, which you never really see here, even in the coldest of winter. And in the comment section, a lot of people were like, yeah, you say that you won't wear one, Kabir, but you get out to Chicago when it's minus 30 Celsius and you'll definitely want one. And that's pretty true, because I think the coldest I've ever experienced was, I think, about minus 10, maybe minus 12 Celsius. And that just felt bitterly cold to me. So this video here is the opposite. So it's going to be summer objects that you never see or that you only see in America. And I'm quite intrigued to see what this list is going to have on it. So let's go. This is going to be me reacting to summer objects that you only find in America. Let's do it.
These ice cubes are a lifesaver when you run out at parties, and they're made by wizards. Hello, I'm Lawrence, and I'm on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost in the pond, and one of those memos pertains to things, objects, stuff, particularly summer stuff. 42 years ago, in the winter of 2020, I did a video about 5 winter objects that I only encountered after moving to America. And this video serves as its summer counterpart. And as was the case with that video, I'll not be including food items. That's its own video, right? Just wanted to make that clear for people like Uncle Toby. Basically, man-made objects that are associated with the summer. And
I can't help but be distracted by this awesome picture of London. This looks like London maybe in the 80s, like it's got an old school double-decker. We still have double-deckers, but they don't look like this anymore. It's a cool picture.
As we go through this list, keep in mind that some of these things might have a presence in Britain. It's just that either A, I was sheltered, or B, they're shown more prominently in America. And so, without further ado, let's take a look at 5 summer objects that I only encountered after moving to America.
All right, let's see. Overhead, yeah.
I think it's fair to say that I have a love-hate relationship with ceiling fans. Now, when I say overhead fans, I'm not referring to Lost in the Pond supporters who sit in the rafters at the live events that I don't have. I'm referring to fans on the ceiling.
Yeah, these fans are very popular in Florida, like when I've been out there. And also Africa, a lot of African countries. To be honest, I feel like countries that just have a lot of heat, overhead fans are just way more popular.
In British homes, they're exceedingly rare, whereas in America, I've yet to enter a house that doesn't have one. And that includes my mansion that has about 3. It's not a mansion. First of all, when you're a YouTube sensation, the last thing you need in your studio is an overhead fan, because it messes up your hair and your voice. I realise that this is a niche problem and that certain people need to check themselves before they wreck themselves. The other first world problem that they produce is I never know how many times to pull the string.
The thing is though, if it's really warm, you know, are overhead fans effective? Because when it's really hot and I have my fan on, it's just blowing hot air, right? I feel like an air conditioner is probably the most effective thing at staying cool.
Apparently on most units it's 3, and this is the sort of thing they should tell you at customs when you first arrive. Are you travelling with family? Are you here on business? Oh, and by the way, pull it 3 times and not 4, you numpty. But I said it's a love-hate relationship, whereas Lost in the Pond fans cheer me up. Overhead fans cool me down. And this is particularly useful when your studio doesn't have one of these.
Yeah.
I'll admit it, when I first heard about America's propensity for using air conditioning, I thought it was weird. Why would you want that blowing through your home when you can just crack open a window and hear the sounds of nature? And I thought it was particularly unusual that anybody would want to partially obscure their window with this big box. We're British, we want to see outside, we want to see what that chaffinch is up to, we want to see if it's a light drizzle or a heavy downpour, we want to see the joggers. So I thought it was as weird as the next person, and then I met the next person. His name was Mick from Stockport. And Mick from Stockport had never actually left Stockport, but he had all kinds of views about the...
I wonder, like, how much does an air conditioning unit cost? What are there units that can cool your whole house? Like, if you were to leave all the doors in your house open, or do you have to buy one for every single room? Because I imagine that would be quite expensive, right?
The rest of the world, including America. And he absolutely lamented the artificial nature of American air conditioning. 2 weeks later, he died of heat stroke. Mick is, like any other British person that I talk about on this channel, entirely fictional. But he was as stubborn as I was when it came to air conditioning. We just don't have it in UK homes. But after moving to America, I saw the error of my ways. If you saw my recent video on how British heat waves ain't got nothing on America, you might have a clue as to why the absence of them would constitute a public health hazard. In many parts of the US, it's extremely common for the summer temperature to rise above 90 degrees Fahrenheit. The simple truth is...
So 90 degrees Fahrenheit to Celsius, 32.2. Yeah, that is pretty hot. That is pretty hot.
In July, an American home wouldn't be fit for humans, were it not for the installation of AC. Also, it does help that my cat has an aircon obsession.
Glamping
Don't get me
mattresses.
wrong, in the UK, inflatable mattresses are as popular as inflatable people, and you sometimes use them both at the same time. But in my experience, British people draw the line at using them while camping. That's the blow-up mattresses, not so much the other one. In America, they have a term for this. It's called glamping. Glamping is an example of a poor man's toe, or as it says in my dictionary, a portmanteau. It just means glamorous camping, and I was introduced to this concept by none other than old-fashioned AF, my wife.
So make sure you sign up as soon as you're finished watching this video.
In the height of summer, we went a-camping in southern Indiana, and I prepared myself for days on end for the enormous back pain I would feel afterward. See, this is what British campers do. We gear ourselves for
camping here, when I've been camping, it's literally just tent, sleeping bag, water, food, deodorant, and maybe a change of clothes. Maybe. I would never think to take an inflatable mattress. But to be fair, it would make the experience a lot better, but then you'd need a huge tent. You'd need like a gazebo pretty much.
A night or two of blissful torture. And this was the illusion I'd afforded myself on this visit to southern Indiana, right down to the moment that I put the last peg in the ground. And then my wife surprised me by pulling from the van an inflatable mattress and 2 pillows and a headboard and a dressing table. And it filled me with dread because I'd just signed a lease elsewhere, but also because it made me panic that my wife wasn't who I thought she was. But it turns out that this is quite normal in America. People here don't go camping to recreate the living conditions of Neanderthals. They do it to sit around campfires and eat s'mores and play songs. So whatever you learn from the 1999 American documentary The Blair Witch Project, forget it, that's old news. Now maybe I'm becoming Americanized. Over time I've become comfortable with America's obsession with being comfortable. That's probably why when it comes to my new house, I want to add one of these.
Porch swings.
I'm going to go out on a limb here with no data to back up what I'm about to say. Per household, America has way more front porches than Britain. I've been to various parts of the United States, and having done so, one thing stands out as a constant among its streets. Friends and families getting hammered on the front porch. In Britain, we must like our privacy, because if we have porches, they tend to be in the back gardens.
Hang on, what is a porch? What is a porch? Oh, like an outdoor sort of bit that you could sit, I see.
/yard. Either way, there's one element of porches that I didn't encounter until moving to America. Swing benches. Again, that's not to say we don't have them in Britain, they're just more prevalent in America, and again, I don't have data to back that up. It's an observation. I've now lived in the US for about a third of my life, and in that time you do get a good sense for America's furniture choices. And if it turns out that my observation...
To be honest, a porch swing would be really nice on a nice sort of like, not warm, but kind of mild day. Just, you know, there is something about being on something that swings, like... what are those things? Hammocks. Yeah, hammocks are just amazing to lie in. So yeah, I could see those swinging chairs being as quite comfortable to sit in.
Is numerically incorrect. The wife and I will be more than happy to tip the scales back in America's favour. That was just an excuse to show you my empty front porch. I should have played it cool, much like this.
Bagged ice.
If you take a knife and try to cut an ice cube in half, you might have A, a mess, and B, a perfect metaphor for the final entry on our list. In other words, this is 2 entries in 1. It can shatter everything Americans hold dear when they discover that British people on the whole don't put ice cubes in their water. And perhaps this creates an illusion that British people eschew ice cubes altogether, but that couldn't be further from the truth. We do sometimes put them in water, but also Pims, mostly that. And
yeah, I just have cold water, you know, just stick a bottle of water in the fridge, but I'll put ice in, you know, soft drinks and stuff like that.
Growing up in Britain, in my family, we had one of those ice trays that you fill with water and put in the freezer. In fact, this is something that Americans, the British, and people the world over have in common. But I was 26 years old when I discovered that you could buy pre-made ice cubes in a bag. These ice cubes are a lifesaver when you run out at parties, and they're made by wizards. And it just happens that my discovery of them came about in America. This is an example of me living a sheltered life, because it turns out you can absolutely get them in Britain.
You can, but most people, I imagine, like have those big fridge freezers that have like ice dispensers, like we've got one downstairs, so that, you know, you don't really need to buy bagged ice. But it would be useful to have a big bag of ice in the freezer, I guess, on like on a summer's day, because sometimes the ice dispenser doesn't work, because I feel like maybe the freezer gets too hot or something like that.
They're just not displayed as prominently. I'm mostly talking about gas stations. One thing you'll notice when you drive into BP, ironically British Petroleum, is that outside of them, they feature subtly decorated ice cube vendors.
Wow.
So if you're hosting a party that night and you're running a bit behind, don't go to Walmart, go to BP. You can get everything you need. That's it for this episode. I'm going to go through to the next room, strip down to my underpants, and stand in front of the AC. If you like what you saw here, don't forget to follow.
Very interesting indeed. I didn't realize that porches were so common in America. Like maybe because whenever we've been, like we've stayed in hotels, like, but I didn't like over here. It's very rare to see a porch in a house or in front of a UK house. Usually if people are going to sit outside, they're going to do it in their gardens, maybe because they feel like there's more privacy there. And what else? The ice cubes, the bagged ice, you can definitely get that here. It's probably not as common as in America, but any large superstore like a Tesco or a Sainsbury's, you can usually find them in there. Really, really interesting list. Really fun video once again from Lawrence and Lost in the Pond. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, turn on bell notifications, and keep throwing the recommendations my way. I know I say it all the time, but they genuinely help me out, because if I know you enjoyed watching something, I'll definitely enjoy reacting to it. So like, subscribe, turn on bell notifications, keep throwing the recommendations, and I'll catch you in the next one.